Yoshi Amdagni from magicalpainfreeliving.com, coming to you with my weekly Facebook Live sessions that I'm doing every Thursday at 11 a.m. Bangkok time. So welcome if you're here for the very first time. If you don't know who I am, what I do, well, I'm an international physical and emotional pain relief expert. So I help people who are feeling stuck, who feel like they're trying lots of different things and they're not being able to get the relief that they want, whether it's physical, pain or an emotional pain. I help them move past that pain to peace and clarity, and that's what I do. And today's topic is related because the topic is out of the fog and into sunshine, and it's all about emotional spring cleaning so you can have peace and clarity. So if you feel like we all go through this mental fog situations. We all feel scattered and not grounded and foggy in our heads. So if that is you, this Facebook Live might help you. Hi Govind for joining. Hi Sandeepa. Hope you're having a great day. And today's topic is about out of the fog into the sunshine and using, clearing, emotional spring cleaning, the different areas of your life to have peace and clarity. It is close to spring now. And a lot of the times, we've heard of the word spring cleaning. I don't know why we restricted to spring, but it is spring cleaning. And what that topic is, where when I think of spring cleaning, usually I associate it with clearing the clutter from your house, physical clutter, and you look for trashing out, things that you don't need, putting away stuff that you're done with, and looking at the physical trash in your house and cleaning that up, cleaning up your bedrooms and your storage and all that kind of stuff. Really today's topic is about clearing out the mental fog and the mental clutter so that you can have peace inside, not just outside in your house, but peace inside and clarity inside so that you can stay in flow, right? And so that you can be at your best, so that you can be effective, you can be productive, you can be, clear-minded in your decision and your effectiveness and your productivity. So, going to the topic of, so what I'm going to be sharing with you very quickly, the topic today is, let me repeat that, you're just joining. Welcome. If you're here regularly, I am so glad that you joined me. And today's topic is out of the fog into bright and emotional cleaning. Okay? And my intention is, I want to share with you, here's what I want to share with you, 3 things, okay? Number 1 is what causes this mental fog. Number 2 is 10 signs you may need some emotional spring cleaning. And 3 is tips to clear the fog and how you can clear out the fog and return to clarity. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you. And if this is interesting for any of you that, for someone that might be struggling with this brain fog kind of situation, please tag them, please invite them so that they can watch it on replay. So before we get into what creates mental brain fog, emotional fog, what is it? What is mental fog? What do you mean when you say mental fog? At least what I mean, I think of brain fog and mental fog as trash that we hoard in our minds. When you think of the clutter in your house, right? It's clutter that you've been holding on to, old dresses, old papers, old files and stuff like that. But for me, brain fog and mental fog and emotional fog is like the trash stuff, right? All the stuff that you don't need, emotional stuff, mental stuff that you're hoarding onto in your mind, in your brain. Okay, so it's like emotional trash. It's like mental trash that's been lying around there, and you know, it's creating this foggy feeling. So you don't feel clear-minded. So you don't feel like you can make the right decisions. You're feeling indecisive. And so that is what I mean by mental fog. I wrote it down here. I'll show it to you. So emotional and mental trash or stuff that we hoard in our minds. And this is not, you know, this is, please don't quote this. I mean, it's not it's just what I've made up. For you, mental fog and, you know, mental clutter may mean something else. This is what I feel, what it means to me. And so going to like what causes the mental fog, right? What causes, number one is what causes mental fog? For me, it is, you know, I think of the brain as like a computer, right? And just as, you know, when you, for example, I'm doing this Facebook Live, and if I've got like 10 other programs, windows open for like 10 other things, maybe a Microsoft Word and other programs that I'm running simultaneously, then it's gonna slow my Facebook Live down and have internet issues, right? So you understand, when you have like 10 windows open and you're trying to focus on one thing, then it's really hard because the computer is running so many other systems, windows at the same time, that it slows down your ability to do this one thing that you're focused on right now. And so I hope you're getting the picture. Like, this is what I'm thinking when I'm thinking of mental fog. What's creating mental fog? It's like these days we have so many distractions, social media, you know, it could be the programs that you watch on television, games, and like, you know, Facebook itself is so distracting. There's like so many things, interesting things, you know, things you can buy, things you can learn. There's just so much information overdose these days that it can create a sense of overwhelm, right? Then we've got these mental to-do lists, all the things that we need to get done. We've got kids, you know, the kids' worries at the back of my mind. We've got our work issues at the back of our mind. We've got like 20 other things. Health, maybe we're worried about our parents. Maybe, you know, my kids right now are looking into going to universities, graduating soon, and so there's that on my mind. But if we, you know, just have all these, so many different programs playing out, then it's bound to create this mental fog because there's so many different things. It's like the monkey mind is, what do I focus on? There's so much going on, right? And so when you've got all these windows open in your mind, it's going to slow your mental and emotional, you know, productivity, effectiveness way, way, way down. And I believe that is a big source of this mental fog that we find ourselves in, this mental clutter. Like, it's so overloaded, I can't think clearly, right? I can't decide, I don't know what to focus on. So that's what's creating the mental emotional fog. Okay, emotional fog also because once you've got all these mentally, you know, things that you need to do, then you've got all these feelings about it. You're worried about it, you're stressed about it, you're overwhelmed about it, you are fearful about it, and all that, right? So that's creating this internal emotional mental clutter in your brain, and over time, you know, it's going to slow you down, and that's why you feel like, I'm so foggy. Okay, I hope you're resonating with this. Hi, Geeta. Please give me a thumbs up or make a comment below if you are resonating with this. So, you know, what are the 10 signs? Okay, the first one was what causes mental fog, and the number 2 is the 10 signs you need to do emotional spring cleaning. So what are the 10 signs? So for me, you know, here's how you know you need to do spring cleaning, because a lot of the time we're so used to, like, you know, this comfort zone. We live, for example, you don't know you need to spring clean until you, like, you know, you start opening up the drawers and seeing, oh my God, there's all this trash lying here, I don't even need this. If you really open your cupboard and look at, like, all the dresses that you haven't worn. So, you know, you see the signs, like, I really need to get rid of this stuff. But how do you know you've got mental and emotional clutter? Because we're so used to moving forward every day. You know, we just have these to-do lists, and there's no time to reflect. There's no time to think for most people. So how do you know? What are the signs? So here are some signs that if you are experiencing any of these, then you want to do emotional spring cleaning, mental spring cleaning, okay? So if you are in some sort of chronic pain, for whatever reason, maybe you have a disease because of which you have a chronic pain, okay? You want to do some emotional spring cleaning. Trust me on this. Okay, if you are somebody who has a lot of anxiety from day to day, there is emotional mental clutter there. If you have any sort of disease, any disease, I don't care what, you know, what the disease is. It could be a really severe, serious disease. It could be a really small thing, cough, cold, fever. Yes, you've got some, you know, some resistance. There's some dis-ease going on inside of you, emotionally, mentally. That is creating the physical disease, okay? If you feel like, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted every day, I feel like fatigued easily, that shows low energy, and that's how you know you've got some emotional, mental cleaning to do. Because if you feel tired every day, if you feel exhausted every day, you know, it's like there are short circuits in your energy system. There are all these blockages in your energy system. I'm in Bangkok, Thailand, and, you know, you can think of the traffic flow, right? When there is jam in one of the major intersections, it's going to create a jam in the other part of the city too. So there are all these traffic jams in your energy system, right? Mental, emotional traffic jams that are creating this low energy, because you know that the flow of traffic is not going to be smooth, right? And it's going to create a lot of problems if there's a traffic jam. And so we don't, when you think of low energy and you're physically tired and exhausted and drained and you don't have energy to do this and that, you just tend to think of it in physical terms, like, oh, physically I can't do this. But it's really what's going on emotionally and mentally that's overloading your system. And I'll explain that a little bit more. If you feel lack of confidence. Hi, Anita. So today's topic is out of the fog into the sunshine, and we're talking, it's all about emotional spring cleaning for peace and clarity. And so, you know, if you find, we are at number 5, okay, these are the 10 signs you need to do emotional spring cleaning. So number 1 is chronic pain, anxiety. If you've got anxiety, if you've got any kind of disease, okay, if you're feeling fatigued and drained and exhausted, which means low energy, you need to do emotional spring cleaning. If you feel you have issues with confidence, I am not confident about this or that, or maybe it's in your relationships, maybe it's in your work, maybe it's, you know, how you present yourself, maybe there's a lot of internal chatter going on. That's why you have the confidence issues. So if you feel lack of confidence, then you really need to look at what's going on inside. Then you've got some mental and emotional spring cleaning to do. Another way to know that you need to clean up emotional spring cleaning is here. Number 6 is if you are someone who tends to procrastinate. And I don't mean like, you know, just one day, like, oh, I wanted to get this done, but I haven't done it. But if you find that you are a procrastinator, right? We all procrastinate from time to time. But if you've got a regular theme where you're always doing things last minute and then you're like making a dash to the deadline, that means that you've got some emotional mental cleaning to do, because you know from this whole issue with procrastination is we have a fear of being judged, we have a fear of failure, we are afraid to be seen, we have underlying fears and worries and doubts that are contributing to the reason that we procrastinate. Okay, negative patterns. Okay, if you find yourself going in circles, maybe it's a behavioral pattern. I had a client, who found that she was constantly screaming at her kids. Okay, and then she would promise herself, I won't do it, I won't do it, I won't do it. And then she would find herself back screaming at her kids, guilty, guilty, guilty. I've been there too. And she actually wrote an article. She worked with me as a client, and she wrote an article, Am I Becoming My Mother? Because she found that, the same way that her mom used to shout and scream at her as a kid, she was now repeating that pattern with her kids, even though she didn't want to, even though she swore to herself that I'll never do that to my kids. I'll never, raise such high voices and be so like scolding them and screaming at them all the time. That's what her intention was, but she found herself in a negative pattern. I had a client who found that he was, always moving from one job to another within 6 months, and then a year was the maximum he went, and there was a pattern. He didn't want to be that way, but it was that way. And so when you find yourself in a negative pattern, you want to tune back in. It's not about the job, it's not about the boss, it's not about the colleagues, it's not about anything out there. Okay, it's about what's going on in your subconscious mind, in your mental, emotional DNA, in your makeup, right? And usually there are experiences that we've had in the past that are continuing to affect our everyday life. So if you've got negative patterns, you definitely want to think about doing emotional spring cleaning. If you've got relationship blues, okay? If you find that you're feeling edgy in your relationships, if you find that you're having some sort of tension in your relationships, whether it's a relationship at work. I had a client who was always having issues with his supervisors, and he said, it's funny. He always attracted women bosses, and he always had issues with these women bosses. And he said, I can't understand. Even the last job, my boss was like this, and she was breathing down my neck and blah, blah, blah. If you've got relationship issues with a partner, you still want to look at what's going on inside, because our relationship model is the first relationship model that we have in our lives is back when we were kids. What was happening in our life back then? What were the relationships models that we had in our lives when we were kids? For this person who was always having, having women bosses that he couldn't get along with, he had, this relationship with his mom where they were always at loggerheads. They were always not agreeing with things. And so if you've got relationship blues with any situation, you really want to go back in, because it's not just at the tip of what you're seeing. It's not just, oh, I can't get along with my husband, I can't get along with my son, I can't get along with my boss. There's something deeper going on inside, okay? And another victimhood is if you find yourself, what do I mean? When you feel like a victim, like, oh, I'm stuck because, of these people around me. Oh, I didn't have this, that's why I am stuck. When you're kind of blaming everything out there and feeling so sorry for yourself, and you feel like, I'm stuck because of this thing and this thing and this thing, and only if those things were fine, then I would be in the place that I want to be, you know, I would reach the goals that I want to reach. If you find yourself stuck in this victim cycle, then you want to look at yourself, because I promise you there is nothing out there, even though it looks very solid, very real, very physical. The truth is that it's the inside that's creating the outside. And unless you're going to, you know, look inside, then it's really hard to step out of that feeling of victimhood, because you will keep feeling powerless by giving power to everything that's out there. And so you want to take back your power, and you want to go inside and, you know, look at what's going on inside of me. And the last one is insomnia. That's a really easy one. I can't sleep, and I feel sleepless because I'm sleeping. I have sleep issues. I can't work. You know, the next day I'm feeling foggy and groggy, and I can't. I don't have the confidence. I don't have the clarity. So it's like a vicious cycle. So all these are symptoms. I hope you're getting a feel of this, but these are all symptoms that you need to do some emotional decluttering, some emotional spring cleaning. Here's something I just made up last minute is, you know, when you have all this mental clutter, then it creates a lot of chronic stress. Imagine like all this stuff inside your mind, right? It's all in your brain. And then it starts creating all this pressure. Think of a pressure cooker, right? In India, we use pressure cookers all the time. So, you know, there's this, you have this system, and from one end, you're applying all this pressure on yourself, which is bound to create what I call chronic stress, always in a state of stress. I have to do this, I have to do that. You know, my kids, my work, my business, my health, my parents, my grandparents, you know, the world around me, all the dangers around me. And there's just so much that we are impacted with. And so we have all this pressure on us, which creates a chronic state of stress, right? And even though we have, like, we wear this badge of honor, I'm stressed because I have so much work to do. And we think like being busy or stress is a good thing because that's what it's normal. That means I'm doing something, that means I'm being effective, I'm being productive. I have so much stress, I'm taking care of my kids, I'm taking care of my work, I'm taking care of my home. But chronic stress is really, really, really the key to all diseases, all sorts of aches and pains. You know, if you go to any health journals, you'll see 80 to 90% of all diseases, can you believe it? All diseases is chronic stress. And so when you have all this mental chatter, inner negative self-talk, old stories of victimhood that you're telling yourself, to-do lists, worries about the kids, it all creates so much pressure in your brain. And eventually, you know, you have all the other symptoms. I hope you can see this. Blood pressure, you know, weakened systems in your body. It's, you know, it's not that just because you're mentally stressed, it's just going to stay here, right? We are mind, body, spirit. So it's going to affect all the systems in your body, all the reproductive systems, the, you know, endocrine system, the immune system, all the different systems are going to be impacted by this. And eventually every organ in your system will be impacted by it. It's logical, right? It's just so logical. So you're going to have weakened immunity. You're going to have chronic fatigue with all this, what do you call it, resistance and stress inside. It's going to create these clogs of energy, which will block the flow, right? And eventually, when you have a jam in your system in different places, you're going to have low energy, you're going to feel fatigued, and all the other symptoms that I was just talking about. And of course, any sort of pain and disease is coming right from this place where you're feeling like this brain fog, this mental fog, right? So I hope you're getting a picture. I hope you're getting a feel of what this is. And so what can I do? What can I do to feel more peace? feel more clarity, to feel more ease, to feel more confidence, to feel free of my pain, to feel free of my dis-ease, right? And to be more productive at work, to be more calm and patient with my kids, or to attract the right kind of bosses, so that I'm not always in this pattern of having conflicts with people, or I'm not always in this pattern of getting the wrong job or the wrong date. It's so what you want to do is, I wrote it here, 3 tips to return to peace and clarity. So the first thing is, stop looking out there. Okay, stop looking out there to fix the problem, because this mental fog is self-created. Okay, we need to declutter it and simplify. So the way you do it is, first of all, you tune inward, okay, and you do a scan. You know how when you go for a physical disease and they do the scan and to see what's going on, like, using that instrument to scan your body, you want to scan your emotions, you want to scan your mental chatter, you want to scan what's going on inside of you. And, I call it, like everybody in EFT, we talk about the emotional forest, and all of us have the emotional forest. And some people say, like, where do I begin to scan? Like, there's so much every day, there's things going on every day in my life, there's stuff from the past, where do I begin? And we talk about in EFT, which is the tool that, I'm sorry if you're not familiar with EFT and you're just brand new to my Facebook Live. EFT is Emotional Freedom Techniques, and it's a tool to clear out emotional stresses. And so in the EFT world, so to speak, we talk of the redwoods in the emotional forest. Okay, do you know about redwoods in the US? I saw all these humongosaurus redwood trees. They're like really, 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 really tall trees, okay, in the forest. And so what we in EFT we call them redwoods. It's like things that upset you the most when you think about them. Okay, so look for things that are really on your mind, that are very stressful or very upsetting or make you really angry. Those are easy ones to look at, right? So it's like looking at your closet, opening the closet and saying, oh my God, this dress really needs to go because it's short, it's torn, it's ugly, it's not with the times. And so that dress definitely needs to go, right? So it's the same thing. You need to look at those tall emotional trees that are just packed up with anger and frustration and all of that. So the next step would be, once you've done the scan, write down a list. Don't let it stay in your head. Just write it down. There is something very healing about acknowledging, identifying what's like floating around, and then putting it outside of your mind onto a piece of paper. Okay, so write down. I remember reading back many years ago when I was reading one of the Jack Canfield, books. I've read many of them. And he talks about the 101 irritations list. Okay, I call it the OM list, which is on my mind, OMM, OM list, or whatever, you can call it whatever list, but just write down all that's on your mind. It could be a relationship thing, it could be work thing, it could be house thing, it could be business related thing, it could be kids thing, okay, it could be parents thing, it could be all the things that impact you. So you can have different columns: work, health, kids, self, and see what are the biggest things that are worrying you, upsetting you, angering you, the fears that you have. Just make a long list. Okay, and the third thing, once you have that list, you've done your scan and you have your list, now you have to create time every single day, or get into a routine of clearing out the mental and emotional clutter. Just like every single day or maybe at least a week, every week you clear out, you trash out the physical clutter. You see, I don't need this, I don't need this, you know, this needs to go, all these empty packets, whatever, your physical clutter, right? Your physical trash, you trash it out every single day. And so every single day, or at least you put it out for the every weekly trash, and then the garbage truck comes and collects it, right? So you need to do that with yourself on a regular basis, regularly clearing out emotional, mental trash. And you know, some people like to write it down and just burn it, you know, writing down whatever is upsetting them and kind of letting go. There's so many ways to let go. And one of them is you just write it all out and, you know, take a little, you know, matchstick and just crumble it and see it burn to ashes. What works for me, obviously, is EFT tapping, emotional freedom techniques, which is basically you think about what's stressing me out right now. Physically, is it the physical stress? Is it the mental? Physically, I mean, like if you are in ache and pain, which you probably are if you've got a lot of mental fog, mental clutter, right? And then thinking about it, like maybe I have a pain and it's really bothering me, it's upsetting me, and I can't do my day-to-day work, so I'm going to write that down. I'm frustrated about my physical pain. Okay, and so in EFT, we tune into what's stressing us, whether it's a physical thing, whether it's an emotional thing, whether it's a mental thing, whether it's a spiritual thing. And we tap lightly, just like that, on different key acupressure points as you tune in, okay? Tuning into what's going on with me. And as you clear it, it's like your system energetically clears out the static, and you come to a place of more peace and calm. Of course, the most popular one is meditation. You know, just having quiet time every single day, or at least 3-4 times a week, right? So that you can calm down and have this place of quiet where you can calm the mental chatter, the mental clutter, sort of like releasing and letting it go and coming to a place of peace every single day. And even those 5 minutes of daily peace, even those 10 minutes of quiet time are going to be so key in bringing in the clarity, in bringing in the peace, you know, inspiration. Inspiration is about being in spirit, and when you're quiet and calm, you're in spirit. You're in, you know, you are in connection with your spirit, and that's where all the answers are. That's where all the guidance is. That's where all the clues are. That's where all the solutions are. So if you have a daily pattern of daily routine of doing quiet time and clearing out, for me, you know, what I always do is I tune in, I use the EFT tapping to clear out the emotional, mental, whatever clutter, and then I meditate, which is just so much fun because, you know, if you've meditated and you sit down, like for the first 10-12 minutes, some people, you know, it just doesn't stop for them, the mental chatter. And you just feel like you don't feel so refreshed because there's been so much chatter that you were lost in your thoughts, which is still better than nothing. But I find that, you know, tapping and clearing the trash and then sitting for the meditation is so beautiful. So I hope this was useful. And what I'm going to be doing is, actually, I've done it already, I think. Once I hit, you know, once I put this on the Facebook, you will see a link above. Okay, above the video, you will see a link that gives you the EFT tapping video that I did many years ago, almost 10 years ago, on using EFT tapping for clearing out the daily clutter, the mental clutter, so you can feel peace and clarity. So if you want to give EFT a go, and if you want to feel this peace and clarity, maybe you're going through something and you know, you want instant relief, I highly suggest you try that EFT tapping video for peace and clarity. If you have any questions, please post them below. And if you feel like you know, this sharing has been helpful to you, or could help others, please tag them, please share the video. And I will see you again next week, next Thursday. Same time, same place, which is Facebook, with a new topic and new tips and new stories to entertain you, inspire you, and uplift you in some way. So thank you so much for joining me, whether you're watching this live or on replay. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye, guys.